Every day, our planet shows us huge red flags. Massive fires, floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions unlike we've seen in centuries are becoming more frequent. Are all these signs boiling down to an inevitable end? To survive, humanity urgently needs to search for a new home. With that in mind, we've recently hoped to colonize and inhabit Mars. However, German scientist Robert Wimmer-Schweingruber is here to disappoint us. Red planet colonization might lead to horrific mutations and even the extinction of humankind. Mars has an incredibly thin atmosphere, so hazardous space and solar radiation constantly reach its surface. According to Wimmer-Schweingruber, any astronaut, even when protected by a spacesuit, will receive a strong dose of radiation upon stepping onto the Martian surface. Furthermore, the red radioactive dust on the planet's surface also poses an immense danger to us. It's so fine that it can penetrate even a hermetically sealed module. In the scientists' opinion, the first colonizers will suffer from bone and muscle problems, while future generations of Martians may completely lose the ability to move without exoskeletons. Not to mention that all internal organs will deteriorate and turn into jelly. So, where can people flee if researchers claim Mars is entirely unsuitable for life? Scientists have taken the search for alternative planets for human colonization to another level. What interests them is not just any planet, but a super-Earth. It turns out that Earth is not the best among all possible worlds. Our planet was uninhabitable for most of its existence due to tectonic activity and changes in solar brightness. The climate swung from boiling heat to freezing cold. But what should an ideal planet for life be like? According to researchers, its mass should be roughly twice that of Earth, and the average temperature should be 25 degrees Celsius. Furthermore, it should also have a denser atmosphere than Earth, providing protection against radiation and other harmful factors. Until recently, scientists couldn't extensively study exoplanets from a distance. However, thanks to the James Webb Space Telescope, they now have the ability to photograph them. This breakthrough allows them to investigate objects we could only speculate about before. Of course, the most reliable way to gather accurate information is to send astronauts on an expedition. Let's imagine NASA has constructed a spacecraft capable of immediately transporting humans to any point in the universe. They've assembled a scientific research team to search for new exoplanets. However, we must choose our exploration targets carefully. Otherwise, we risk repeating the story of one space object known as Fomalhaut b. This planet is located 25 light-years away from Earth. Fomalhaut b was one of the first exoplanets discovered by NASA's Hubble Space Telescope. Astronomers first caught a glimpse of it in 2004. The planet appeared as a bright, frigid point swiftly moving across the sky. But if we were to send astronauts there, they would arrive at nothing, essentially. You see, 10 years after its discovery, the planet vanished. Scientists speculated that perhaps Fomalhaut b was never a planet at all. If that's true, the object astronomers observed in 2004 and once again in 2016 was, in fact, a massive cloud of icy debris formed by the collision of two celestial bodies. Using computer models, researchers calculated that the collision of two icy objects with a diameter of approximately 200 kilometers could have resulted in the formation of a dust cloud, which Hubble mistook for an exoplanet. It turns out that data and photos from telescopes and satellites, even the most advanced ones, can indeed deceive us. But what if this mistake had been discovered too late? Imagine spaceships with hundreds of thousands of Earthlings setting off for Fomalhaut b, only to find themselves stranded in outer space with no chance of return. Fortunately, the misunderstanding was cleared up just in time, so the expedition in search of a new Earth is about to start. The first target for the astronauts would be the planet HD 189733b. At first glance, it bears a striking resemblance to our own Earth. Observing it from a distance, you could easily mistake it for a place with a favorable atmosphere and abundant water. HD 189733b is located approximately 64 light-years away from Earth. It revolves around its star at a speed of 152,000 meters per second. A year on this planet lasts just about 2 days. This blue planet seems so tempting to land our spacecraft on. However, the closer we approach HD 189733b, the clearer it becomes that there's no sign of hospitality here. If we were to land, we could find ourselves trapped in this hell in disguise forever. The water we had seen from afar turned out to be glass shards. You see, the atmosphere of HD 189733b contains clouds with silicate particles. Under high temperatures, these particles melt, transforming into glass fragments. And if that weren't enough, there are also constant powerful storms on this planet, with wind speeds reaching up to 8,700 kilometers per hour, even surpassing the speed of sound. If, by some miracle, the astronauts manage to survive such an ordeal, this seemingly safe blue planet has another surprise in store for them. Apparently, the surface temperature reaches a scorching 834 degrees Celsius. With such an undoubtedly warm welcome, the entire expedition would be reduced to ashes in a matter of seconds. Luckily, the astronauts realized in time that HD 189733b is an actual wolf in sheep's clothing. But the list of exoplanets still goes on and on, so let's continue. Another exoplanet appears on the horizon, meet TRAPPIST-1b. When astronomers discovered this planet in 2016, they were sure it was a super-Earth. TRAPPIST-1b is approximately 1.5 times larger than our planet, and according to the data obtained, its conditions are suitable for life. Furthermore, astrophysicist Thomas Green from NASA's Division of Space Science and Astrobiology Research Center was convinced this exoplanet possesses a dense atmosphere that shields its surface from overheating. Even if we imagine that the astronauts have precise data confirming that their destination is indeed an exoplanet perfectly fit for humans, they still risk landing on a massive fireball. After all, the climate on an exoplanet can change during the journey to it. You see, the distance between TRAPPIST-1b and its star is a mere 1/100th of the distance between the Sun and Earth. And although the star at the center of the TRAPPIST-1 system is fainter than our Sun, the planet still receives 4 times more stellar light than Earth receives from our Sun. The latest data from the James Webb Telescope has just revealed that the daytime temperature on the surface of TRAPPIST-1b reaches 230 degrees Celsius. If our astronauts were to land on TRAPPIST-1b, they would face certain perils. Still, could a planet that fits perfectly actually exist? Don't despair yet, for it seems that the place we've all been looking for is finally on the horizon, Kepler-22b. The first exoplanet discovered by our telescope seems quite promising, that is, if we don't consider the dusty failure Fomalhaut b turned out to be. Kepler-22b is in the habitable zone of a Sun-like star. Its existence was confirmed in 2011 by the Kepler Space Telescope. This exoplanet was discovered via the so-called transit method. While observing the star Kepler-22, researchers noticed its brightness dimming from time to time. This could only mean one thing. A planet was orbiting around it, slightly obscuring the star's light when it passed in front of it. But what do we know about Kepler-22b today? Its mass is 36 times that of Earth, while its radius is 2.5 times larger. Moving to Kepler-22b would be like relocating from a studio apartment to a 2-story house. Surprisingly, the living conditions on this planet would feel somewhat familiar to us. 1 year on Kepler-22b lasts 290 days, which is very close to Earth's year. The planet's orbit is positioned 15% closer to its star than we are to our Sun. If Earth ventured that close to the Sun, we'd be instantly burned. However, Kepler-22b has the advantage of orbiting a smaller and cooler star than our own. This allows the planet to receive roughly the same amount of sunlight as Earth gets from our Sun. Surface temperatures on this exoplanet can range from 15 to 22 degrees Celsius, which really feels like our spring out there. Very comfortable for living, isn't it? So, our astronauts can finally begin to land on Kepler-22b. However, the planet may hold a few surprises for them. When scientists modeled the axis and orbit of Kepler-22b, they discovered that the planet is tilted on its side. That could be pretty dangerous. You see, as a result of this tilt, one pole of the planet is constantly facing the star, experiencing incredible heat, while the other pole is plunged into complete darkness. As the planet orbits around its star throughout the year, the poles switch places. To survive in such harsh conditions, we would need to constantly move across the planet and stay within the habitable zone. That's why colonizers will have to design sci-fi walking cities or construct space trailer parks so that people can easily migrate to habitable zones. But don't dismiss this exoplanet just yet. New research suggests that Kepler-22b could also be fully covered by a 50-meter deep ocean. Such a layer of water could serve as natural climate control, balancing out extreme temperature fluctuations. Now, let's talk about gravity. If Kepler-22b is twice the size of Earth, its gravity could be several times stronger. That means our weight on the planet would also increase significantly. This sudden change guarantees some issues with joints and blood pressure. However, evolution might come to our aid here. It's quite possible that, over time, generations of colonizers on Kepler will become shorter and lighter. Eventually, our species could transform into stout little beings no taller than half a meter. On Kepler, everything will undergo changes, even the arrangement and size of our internal organs. For instance, our hearts will enlarge to pump blood in high-gravity conditions more efficiently. Some organs might even disappear to allocate resources to more crucial processes, such as supplying blood to an appendix, for example. But it's not just humans who need to speed up the evolutionary process. Animals from Earth, for example, will need to grow additional limbs to distribute their weight. Though it seems that the challenges don't end there, our astronauts are struggling to find a solid surface for landing on Kepler-22b. NASA scientists might have been correct in speculating that Kepler-22b might not actually be a rocky planet. Some researchers claim it could be a gas giant, like Saturn. If the first colonizers found themselves on such a planet, they'd have to figure out how to build a floating city in its orbit. Therefore, it's likely that our homes on Kepler would resemble dense soap bubbles floating in the upper layers of the atmosphere. Yet, surviving on a gas giant is a challenging task. That's why our astronauts are embarking on a quest to find a more suitable planet for colonization. But what if such a planet doesn't exist? During our expedition, we discovered that exoplanets aren't all necessarily friendly. This means one thing: we'll need to adapt to new conditions, and to survive, we may even have to mutate. How much could we change while exploring new lands, and what will future people look like hundreds of years from now? Of course, it directly depends on the conditions of the planet we choose as our destination. And we must choose very carefully, not just based on a pretty picture. For instance, if we spot a breathtaking view through the window on an exoplanet known as J1407b, let's not rush to it straight away. It's called Saturn on steroids, or Super Saturn, for a reason, primarily due to its massive ring system, which is roughly 640 times larger than those of Saturn. However, the planet itself is a gigantic cloud of hydrogen and helium, without a solid surface and with powerful winds. We better not even get too close to it. Not only is J1407b a gas giant, but it also has frequent diamond rain. Diamonds may indeed sound tempting, but let's explore other exoplanet options for now. How about VHS 1256b? It was first discovered by the Vista telescope in Chile in 2015. Observations of VHS 1256b indicated that it's likely a gas giant as well. However, researchers noticed that the planet has an unusual red color. It seems like there's some kind of dust in its atmosphere, meaning there might be something surface-like on VHS 1256b. But even if luck is not on our side and we don't find solid ground, as we delve into the deeper layers of its atmosphere, the gas will become denser until it transforms into a liquid. At the planet's core, there could be an entire ocean composed not of water but hydrogen. So, how can we survive under such circumstances? We need to first understand that the pressure here will be insane. Under such conditions, we'd have to evolve into something like the deep-sea beings that inhabit the depths of our oceans and develop a protective shell to shield us from radiation. As for our dwelling, it would need a special platform to keep it floating in the dense clouds of VHS 1256b, along with a protective dome. The building itself should be single-story, since people will move very slowly due to gravity and pressure. Humanity will probably transform into a race of turtle-like beings living in spherical homes if it decides to settle on VHS 1256b. Not a very enticing prospect, is it? It's better for us to continue searching for an Earth-like rock planet. For instance, consider Coret 7b. Discovered in 2009, it was the first rocky exoplanet ever found by humans. It's believed that during its formation, it was 100 times larger than Earth. However, as it approached its star, the planet heated up and shed its gas until only a rocky core remained. The thing is, Coret 7b is 60 times closer to its star than we are to our Sun. On the daytime side, the temperature on this planet can reach a maddening 2,593 degrees Celsius. That's enough to melt and vaporize rock. Therefore, you can find not only boiling oceans and lava here but also stone rains. Since this planet is tidally locked, one side always faces the sun while the other half of the planet is freezing cold, with temperatures dropping to minus 235 degrees Celsius. But how can we survive there? It looks like the only suitable zone on this planet is a narrow strip between the two hemispheres. The thing is, this area is so small that there won't be enough space and resources for all of humanity. We'll have to either fight for a comfortable spot or adapt to extreme conditions. The first challenge we'll face is low gravity. You see, it would cause our muscles and bones to weaken, and the spaces between our vertebrae to expand, resulting in much taller humans. Since the spine would be practically unused, people would transform into tall, slender creatures resembling spiders, with thin limbs and a curved spine. Furthermore, if we talk about the hot side of Coret 7b, our flesh and bones wouldn't withstand such temperatures, but titanium, on the other hand, would. Thus, evolution would have to gift us with titanium skin. As for a home in such conditions, an underground bunker would be perfect. It would be wise to construct it on the border with the cold side of Coret 7b, close to the ice, to have access to water. It might be easier for us to survive on the cold side of the planet. To retain heat and prevent frostbite on our long and fragile limbs, would need to be covered in dense fur. For housing, we could borrow the idea from Inuit igloos, designed to withstand freezing conditions here on Earth. Homes built from vertically stacked ice sheets can protect not only from the cold but also from cosmic radiation. We would require numerous powerful light sources inside the house, since this part of the planet has never experienced sunlight. But that's not all. It's crucial to have an intelligent heating system that won't melt the ice. No matter which planet humans decide to settle on, we'll inevitably have to change not only our way of life but also our physical appearance. But what if this process of forced evolution has already begun? Scientists claim that humanity, as a biological species, is already undergoing a transformation. In 2004, a group of researchers from the University of Pennsylvania announced the discovery of a gene called MH16, which leads to the shrinking of the human jaw. There are already individuals born without wisdom teeth. Moreover, some human bones are gradually transforming into cartilage, making the skeletal structure more flexible. Hypothetically, this will help us cope with gravity different from Earth's. It seems almost like the planet has begun preparing us for the colonization of new lands. So, which planet would you colonize first? The gas giant Kepler-22b, the bipolar Coret 7b, or would you rather go with the good old radioactive Mars? Music.